Hey everyone, welcome to Geofencing102. My name is Jared Thompson. I work for the National Service Center on the National Marketing Team, and I'm here to talk to you about geofencing. And we're calling this 102 because odds are if you're watching this video, you've probably heard about geofencing in some capacity. Whether it's at a presentation, whether you're involved in some of our media buys, things like that, you've at least heard of the tactic and want to know more. And that's what we're going to do today, is we're going to walk you through step-by-step how to set up a geofenced event in your council, for your unit, really whatever your role is. We want to teach you the tricks of the trade to make this a successful tool for you as you begin recruiting in fall of 2019 and even into 2020 and beyond. So with that, let's get started. The whole thing will probably take about 10 minutes today, but really once you get started and once you get used to this, it really only takes about 5 minutes. So don't let the time on the video fool you, but let's go ahead and get started. So first things first, we are going to log into Facebook. You need to be an admin for the page you're posting to. So whether it's your council page or unit page, just make sure you're an admin or you're going to be stopped at step 1. First things first, we're going to come over here to events, and we're going to come to this blue box here and click create event. So this is the screen that pops up. This is where we're going to be spending most of our time, is really filling this out and making it as effective as it can be. So first things first, we're going to change the photo. Whatever your council one is, it's probably fine, but we've created a really simple one that looks a little bit something like this. We'll include this in the newsletters, a couple different things to make sure you guys have some of those. But just a good high quality image, something that's fun, something that's exciting, something that has our Good Scout Me In branding. So hopefully you like that, but again, feel free to use whatever you got. For event name, we're going to keep it simple. We're going to do Join Pack 123. I really want to keep this simple, and we'll get into why a little bit later, but you can really only see certain numbers of characters, so keeping it as short as possible is a pretty good thing. For location, for tonight, we're going to use the Boy Scouts of America. Hold on. We're going to use the Boy Scouts of America National Headquarters. Again, this is just sort of a dummy event to show you how it works. For description, I'm just going to do a quick copy and paste. We've put together some simple copy, just something that's a little bit eye-catching, something very simple. Again, you only see at the first line, line and a half, so make sure that that first line is as impactful as you can be. So feel free to use this. If not, again, you're welcome to do whatever you want. And we've even included an area down here where you can insert additional details if you'd like to use that copy. So coming down, we're going to go to category. We are a 501c3. So we're going to select causes. Frequency, generally we would recommend doing this as an occurring once thing. You'll see why a little bit later, but I would keep it at that. You can set these up for weekly events if you wanted to geofence every single meeting that you guys have. Don't necessarily recommend it, but it can be done. So for this purpose, here's where things get a little bit interesting. Typically what you want to do is really post these about 10 to 14 days out. From what we've seen in the past, that seems to give us the most effective reach, is about 2 weeks worth. So again, as a sample, we're going to have this one be on Wednesday the 31st. Time, let's see, let's do, say, 6 p.m. 9 p.m. seems a little late. Let's go until 7:30. So when it comes to co-host, if you have a co-host, say your charter partner, or if it's somebody that you know, that you work with, that you trust, feel free to add them. We've seen some councils have a lot of success with that, so go ahead and add that if you need be. If it's at like a community event, maybe a park or something, obviously don't do that, but really that one's up to you. Details, if you have a schedule, great, go ahead and add it. It's not necessary, but again, if it's one of those, if you want to go the extra step, by all means, please do. Keywords, these are a little interesting. For the most part, we haven't really found these to be terribly effective, so you can generally ignore this, but do make sure that you check kid-friendly, and don't worry about volunteer opportunity. When it comes to admission, we're not selling tickets. This is a join night, so don't really worry about that either. And when it comes to options, make sure that only the admins can post. I really want to make sure that you keep it to a relatively select group. You do want to check Messenger, and you do want to display guest lists. So what that'll do is that'll allow people to ask questions, and then displaying that guest list will allow people later on, maybe somebody running the event, maybe it's you, maybe it's somebody at the council, to go ahead and follow up with those folks either at the day of the event or maybe even afterwards. So go ahead and display that. And then we hit publish. So you have now created an event. That's the easy part. And here's where things get pretty exciting. So we're going to come up here to this blue box where it says boost event. We're going to go ahead and click on that, and this is where things will start to come up, and this is where the geofencing becomes a really interesting tactic. So this over here is your preview. This will show you what it'll look like on a desktop. This will show you what it looks like in mobile. Very simple feature there. Coming down here, we're going to make sure that single image is checked. That's sort of the automatic, so don't necessarily worry about that. It'll tell you that the text is too long, and this is what I was talking about before. So really, this is the impactful part here, is this first sentence, sentence and a half. So you really want to get a good message out there, because as people are seeing this come across their feed, they're really only going to see a little bit, so make sure that that's good. And again, it'll fill in the rest of the details down there. But again, here's your sample in case you want to see what that's going to look like. Now things get exciting. So when we come down to audience, this is where geofencing becomes a really effective tool. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a custom audience that'll really target the group that you want to target for your joining event. So typically we want to target all men and women, age. From what we've seen from a research perspective, from joining surveys, things like that, is that the Cub Scout parent is really between the ages of 30 and about 49. So we're going to limit our audience to that. So really it won't post this to anybody under 30 or anybody over 49. That's a pretty good spot there for a Cub Scout parent. So when it comes to locations, you can go ahead and unclick whatever state that is. That's way too broad. And this is where things get pretty good. So what we're going to do is we're going to reinsert that location for your event. And again, in our case, it's the National Service Center. We're going to look that up. And then what it's going to do, it's going to come draw this map around here. So you can come down to this slider here, and you'll see that you can go up to 50 miles or as low as 1. We typically recommend about 3. That's going to give you, there we go. We're at 2. We're going to go about 3 miles out. And typically, let's say that it's a school. That's about right for how big that range is for kids that go to a school. The cool thing, too, is that you can add multiple locations. So I've actually put in some addresses for some local schools kind of right around the National Service Center. Again, this is all for show, but it should give you an idea of kind of what we're doing. So again, we'll punch in the next address. It's going to pop up 10 miles. So we're going to take that and we're going to scale that back down to about 3. And you'll notice that there is some overlap, but as you add more locations in, you're going to start finding sort of these extra areas where you're hitting some additional people. And really just for fun, let's go ahead and add one more. So there's our third one. And then again, let's come in here and then let's take that down to that 3 mile mark. So that'll give you a really good kind of centralized location. You're going to hit a number of different areas. You can put as many as you like. Typically, again, the more you go, the more overlap you're going to have. But we typically recommend about 5 is probably about right. So coming down here to our detail targeting, this is where things are also going to get a little interesting, because what you can do is really start to hone in on interest from your folks. So if they say, like certain pages that are dedicated to, say, family, we can come in here, we can check people who are interested in family. We can also add things like parenting, that's a popular one. We can come into things like child development. And what we'll do is we'll include a whole list of these. But what you'll start to notice down here says your audience is too specific. So your reach is only going to be about 34,000 people. So that's where we typically want to, you want to make sure that you're in that good zone. And we'll get there in just a little bit. The more things that you can add, sort of the better. And once we kind of get into that green zone, that's when you know that you're in a pretty good spot. So maybe people are interested in the Boy Scouts of America. We have people who are into outdoor recreation. Again, there's a number of different things that you can do. So now we're into that 36,000. This is a good defined market. So this will give you people who are interested in all of those different things, and it'll reach enough people to where it really starts to make some sense. So we now have our audience set up. So it'll custom save all that stuff in there. And then we're going to keep coming down. So again, duration, we're talking about 14 days. You're going to have that ending 14 days from now. Typically, you want to end that on the night of the event. And you'll put in a total budget. So for this one, what we typically recommend is about $1 a day. So a total budget of $14. And what this is going to do is this is going to put this in front of between 75 to 220 people per day. So for 14 days, anywhere from 75 to 220 people who meet all these different criteria from up here. It's their location, it's their interest, it's their age. This ad over here is on this mobile news feed. This is what's going to pop up on their phones. this is what's going to pop up on their desktop. They're going to see these ads, and these are pushing these to them. And again, what we're doing with this audience targeting is we're trying to find people who are already interested in these things. So it's a really neat way to reach people in a way that's non-intrusive. It's something that they're naturally doing anyway. And you know that you're being more effective because you're really targeting this and really finding things that they're interested in. So coming down here, we're going to go back over to tracking conversions. We're not going to do Facebook pixels. That's a little advanced for what we're doing. So we'll go ahead and uncheck that. And then really it's payment. This is my personal account. Please don't use that. But go ahead. You can set this up. It'll either ask you to change what's in there or you can set up a new one. And really that's it. What you'll do is, once you check that, you'll go ahead over here and hit boost. I'm not going to do that because after all, this is a fake event. But that's about it. And again, I think this video in total is probably going to end up being about 10 minutes. But once you get good at it, and we've done hundreds of these at the national office, once you know what you're doing, you can knock these out in less than 5 minutes. And again, what we've seen is that it's a really effective tool. You've probably heard some of the stats, but we'll go through a few more. That, units that do geofencing, they're more prepared, they're more excited about join nights, and they're just more successful. And those units that do these geofence events have had some increased success compared to those that don't. It's proven to be a pretty effective tool because you're finding more people outside of your normal market. You're getting them on a social space where we don't normally talk to them, and you're identifying people who are really interested in the things that we provide. And by really editing that audience and making it as targeted as you can, you're going to find that you're going to have a lot more success than just handing out a flyer to someone who's maybe not interested, who may not have us even on their radar. So that's it. Really, that's kind of the end all be all of geofencing. And I think the one thing I want you guys to take away from this is that it's not hard. It's really, really easy. It's effective, it's fun, and it's something that anybody can do at any level, whether it's, again, a local join night for a specific unit, or if it's a bigger event, maybe you're involving multiple units, maybe you're doing something council-wide. Really, it's up to you, and this is something that you can do no matter what, and it will hopefully be a really effective tool for you. So we'll go back, we'll include some of these photos, we'll include the copy. We're also going to include some recommendations on age, different radiuses, some of the things that we talked about, and really how to refine that audience and make sure that it's exactly who you want to reach when you're setting this up for yourself. So hopefully that worked for you. If you have any questions, you've got our contact information. Feel free to reach out. We are more than happy to help, and we're really excited to help you guys do this. So best of luck to you in 2019 and beyond, and be sure to keep us posted. Let us know how things are going. Thanks. Have a great night, everybody.